I'm going to introduce you all to Ariana Quinones, thank you, and Susie Cambria, who work for the mayor. They are in his Health and Human Services department, right? Agency?
Office of the Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services.
That's what they are. And so we thank them for being here with us today, and we are going to be talking about some programs that we would like to see that are funded that have sort of been languishing for a long time, and we'd like to see them picked up this year in this final term of the final year of the first term of the mayor. Thank you so much.
Talk about tongue twisters.
So first, I would like to introduce you both to Charles Dickens, and your constituents. Yay! Yay. And to our story, a tale of two cities. It was the
best of times.
It was the worst of times.
It is the best of times, or it is the worst of times, depending who you are in DC. Inequality is becoming more entrenched every year. Let's look at the facts. 1 in 5 DC residents is living in poverty, while at the same time, DC hosts the densest ultra-rich population in the United States. Only 47% of DC African Americans are employed, while at the same time, 80% of DC whites are employed. 36% of DC is functionally illiterate, while at the same time, DC was awarded the most literate city 4 years in a row for the number of libraries, bookstores, and other literary resources we have here. DC lost half of its low-cost rental units, but since 2000, but in the same time period, its high-cost rental units tripled. 20% of DC families make $22,000 or less a year for a family of 4, but in order to be self-sufficient in the city, the calculator says that DC families must make $89,000 for a family of 4 to be self-sufficient. So, it was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
This represents DC's tax system. As you can see, it is not very fair. The heaviest burden falls on low-income and moderate-income residents, while high-income residents who can most afford it are not struggling very much at all to pay their taxes. But the Tax Revision Commission made some very good recommendations that would alleviate the burden on low and moderate incomes, and we hope that the mayor will adopt them. And the commission also recommended lowering the top income tax bracket from 8.95% to 8.75%, but we actually would like to see that raised to 9.5%, a step in the right direction to make our tax system more fair. It was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
Good jobs are a ladder that help people reach their basic needs like food, housing, and health care. But for many, a well-paying job is unattainable if they can't read, don't have a GED, have a disability, struggle with a mental illness, or face other major challenges. But programs like TANF, Charles, thank you, and IDA provide a stepping stone for people to help them stabilize. But they are badly underfunded, and people can't meet their basic needs, falling into a deeper crisis. Thank you. Adult education is a very powerful way to help repair the inequality gap, but only 10% of DC residents who need literacy services are getting them. Adult education has been overlooked for years, and we need the mayor to take action in this budget. It was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
The only bridge, thank you, across the troubled waters of the housing crisis is affordable housing. But residents living in poverty can't even afford the 30% area median income housing that's available, and they're left with few safe options. Longer-term programs like the Local Rent Supplement Program and like Housing First make it possible for residents to access the bridge out of crisis that affordable housing can provide. Not having year-round access to shelter creates a bottleneck of increasingly desperate families whose situations become harder to recover from the longer they don't have stable shelter. It was the best of times.
It was the worst of times.
And that is the state of DC. Rising inequality, residents struggling with poverty, an exploding homeless crisis. But Mayor Gray can fund the services that would help close the gap and change the sad story of 2 cities into the mayor's 1 city. Here is Fair Budget's roadmap. I'm just going to give that to you here for how you can begin that process. And now we say the end. Thank you so much.